got an interesting question from one of our YouTube community members the other day, and it really got me thinking. I had to sit with this one for a bit. They were asking about free will and if I believe that we actually have free will. And then they asked about antinatalism, which was a term that I hadn't heard before. So let's talk about free will first, and then we'll talk about antinatalism. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. But as far as free will goes, if you Google this term, go down the forum rabbit holes, there are so many different ideas about this, but it seems like there are a lot of camps who either believe that we have free will or believe that everything is predetermined. And the law of cause and effect comes up a lot in this conversation, with the argument that all of our decision making is born out of what has happened before, which is interesting. It's interesting. And there's some truth to that, but I don't think that it really fully dictates the choices that we make in our lives. So I'll just talk about my personal beliefs on this matter, and I'd love to hear what you think. So I don't think it's free will or predeterminism. I think it's both and. I believe that we incarnate into this body, into this lifetime, with a certain plan and an outline, if you will, of the kind of experiences we are going to encounter, with an ultimate goal and like our destiny that we want to reach in this lifetime. Things we want to learn, ways we want our spirits to grow, ways we want to evolve, and an ultimate destiny or destination that we want to get to in this lifetime. And I think that we have free will within this destiny. And this makes me think of the movie The Adjustment Bureau. If you haven't watched that, give it a watch. It's a really interesting concept and kind of talks about this. How we have free will, but there's also a greater plan, a divine plan for your life and for this incarnation. And you have free will choice on your path. You can very well choose not to fulfill your destiny, to stay stuck, to stay stagnant, to choose a low vibrational existence, and to choose a destructive path. You have that choice, that free will choice. You can also choose to heal, to grow, to evolve, to continue down your path toward your destiny. And you can also choose even to surpass the destiny and the plan that was set out for you. Adjustment Bureau. But 100% we do have free will. And take, for instance, two separate people who grew up in abusive households, right? One person chooses to hold on to their anger, resentment, vendetta, and take that pain from the abuse they suffered and inflict it onto everyone around them throughout their entire life. They're choosing to do that. They're choosing to stay stuck in the pain of it, stuck in that need for vengeance and that dysfunction. Whereas there could be another person who grew up in a household with the same level of abuse, and they choose to be a cycle breaker. They choose to not inflict that kind of pain and chaos unto other people. They choose to heal as much as they can and to be a safe place for other people. They're also executing their free will in their life. So, and both people could have very similar destinies, but one person chose not to fulfill that for themselves. One person chose to just stay stuck to the pain and the chaos and the dysfunction, where the other person chose a different kind of life for themselves and for their offspring. And maybe based on, the soul work that you've done in previous lifetimes, your predestined plan is such that this would be the ideal outcome for your spirit for this lifetime. However, you could also choose to continually heal, grow, evolve, choose different, choose higher and higher timelines, and choose to break the mold and break through the limits of that plan and create something that's even beyond the plan that was set out for you. I believe that that is possible as well. So all that to say, yes, I 100% believe we have free will. There's examples all around us of people exercising their free will consciously and unconsciously. But I do also believe that there is a divine plan for your life that is predestined, but it's not like every single step of your life is predestined. You just have you just have like an outline for this incarnation, for what your soul wants to accomplish here. Now, let's address this antinatalism, because I hadn't even heard this term before. And to be honest, when I looked it up, it was really depressing. I'm going to just read straight from Wikipedia on this. So, antinatalism is a philosophical view that deems procreation to be unethical or unjustifiable. The most common arguments for antinatalism include that life entails inevitable suffering, death is inevitable, and humans are born without their consent. That is to say, they cannot choose whether or not they come into existence. Additionally, although some people may turn out to be happy, this is not guaranteed, so to procreate is to gamble with another person's suffering. It says there is also an axiological asymmetry between good and bad things in life, such that coming into existence is always a harm, which is known as Benatar's asymmetry argument. Now, this idea isn't really anything new, but I personally find it troubling because it's just focused on the suffering of life. And just what I read right there shows that the people who subscribe to this view are very much leaning in the direction that life is unfair and not really worth living. So why bring a child into this world? And I know that the world can be crazy and a lot of people think that way. However, I would challenge this view because there's also so much beauty in this world that we tend not to focus on. For whatever reason, humans really focus and hone in on the negative experiences, the suffering, and even our negative memories are much more ingrained in our minds than a lot of the positive ones. And I think that this kind of a philosophical view can be destructive. And I have trouble with this idea that humans are born without their consent. I just don't think that that's true. I think there are bigger things at play when a human child comes into this world. I just think that there's much more at play. And yeah, life is not easy, and our version of success is not always guaranteed, but that doesn't mean that we should never be born, or that you're consciously inflicting harm by bringing a life into this world. And how do we know that a child is being born into this world without their consent? How do we know what's going on in the spiritual realm, in the divine realms, way beyond this world and our minds and our perceptions of this world and the things that go into it? How do we know that that soul didn't plan to come here to learn things, to experience this world? And I have trouble with views like this that are so myopically negative, because yes, we all experience suffering in this life, but that's not the only experience that exists here. There's also a lot of magic and beauty and connection that is available to us. But if we're walking around in this kind of nihilistic headspace, we will never see that. We will never see the beauty and the magic of this world because we're so focused on the suffering and the negative and the wrong that we are perceiving. So, all that to say, I do not agree with antinatalism. I just don't. It doesn't sit right with me. And I do believe that we have free will, but I do also believe that there is a predestination and a plan for our lives that we can choose to pursue and to follow or not. And I do believe that we can surpass the destiny that was laid out for us if we are so bold and courageous and willing to do the work. So, interesting topic. Thank you, Krish. And I'm curious to see what you all think about this in the comments. So I'm sending you all so much love. I hope you have a beautiful day today and find little bits of magic, because they do exist and they're just waiting for us to notice them. I'll talk to you soon.